Everybody, I'm Dr. Karen Mikowski, aka Butterfly Karen. Welcome. So welcome to this evening's interactive remote viewing session. This is going to be case IIDR24 as promised. Intuitive intelligence. Let me just let me log the date and everything right now. 7:17 p.m. Okay, and it's the 29th of January 2024. Let me get that logged down to IIDR the 24. Okay, so basically, where's my other pen? This one might run out on me, so let me try this. Ooh la la. Okay. So I'll try that one. Interesting. This is basically, I'm going to pretty much be sort of connecting to 8D, the 8th dimension tonight. I've been feeling it coming in all day. I started connecting to 8D this morning around 6:22 a.m. Ooh, there was a lot going on. There's some weird sort of downloads coming in. So, but I was seeing a lot of visuals of stuff that I needed to know about. But I'm not sure. I feel like some of them sort of resonate to the collective too, which is why I wanted to sort of meditate on it, which is why I'm going to do the session tonight and let you guys and gals sort of watch me work. But I wanted to, I'm going to remeditate on this sort of stuff because I want to make sure there's nothing coming in. There was a lot coming in, but I want to sort of get clarity on this morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to discuss this morning's weird stuff. Now, 2024, like I said in different sort of messages, in different videos now, it's the sort of year of karma, the cause and effect on a global scale. It's necessary. It's happening whether people want it or not, right? No one's got a choice. But what's going to happen is a lot of people, you're going to sort of start thinking about people from the past. People from the past are probably going to start trying to reconnect with you, dreaming about people from the past you haven't seen in years. That's already started happening this week. It is the weirdest thing. Like normally when I'm sort of on a different realm, different dimension, and I'm seeing people from my past in sort of sleep state, I always have to write those names down because there's a good chance that there's only two things that are going to happen. They're going to either get in touch with me just randomly out of the blue, or they're going to pass over. It's their end of time. You know, that's normal for me. It's not nice to hear, which is why I will not be mentioning those names. But that's usually what it is for me. It's always a heads up from my guardians to let me know you're about to lose another friend or a loved one. And it sucks. But that's just the way my life has always been. That's not going to change. And I just got used to that, unfortunately. So strangely enough, this morning I was connecting with an old friend from school I haven't seen in years, and we sort of lost contact years ago. But I was watching her reading a Bible, and my first thought was, what are you doing? You're not a believer in anything, so why on earth are you reading the Bible? Which kind of told me there's a symbolic side to that I may actually hear of this person's passing, and it's almost like she could be at the end of coming to the end of her life and evaluating everything and maybe looking for faith at the end, that's not a bad thing. But I just remember sort of being amused by, you're serious right now? Why are you reading the Bible? Because I knew this person really well. But again, as people grow and people change anyway over time as we get older. So usually people can find faith in different things, but this particular person was an absolute atheist in everything. So I'm very low vibrational too, but that's okay, because sometimes people, the non-believers, can usually find some sort of faith in something over time. So, but for me, it was more, I've got to just be ready for that bad news. And that's two people this week. A former squaddy friend I feel I'm going to hear bad news about, and an old school friend. So it's like, if I'm right, what I will do is if that happens, I will do an updated video, because I'll do a sort of Sunday service condolence video on those people too, if that's the case. But this is just sort of timestamp for that reason. My field is very hard to prove. This is why I don't have a problem talking about it and discussing everything, and why I always get the heads up. But it's the only way I can sort of prove my field. It's paranormal science, parapsychology. So I'm very transparent. What you see is what you get. I don't hide who I am. So, and I embrace who I am. I love who I am. I love what I do. I was born to be a parapsychologist, I guess. Well, everything that I do everything's parapsychology. So parapsychological. Now, that was interesting. Now, okay, interesting. The third thing I was hearing was ghost IP addresses. It's a big problem. Ironic as this, I feel like this is where I feel like I'm going into 8D, because I feel like when I went to 7D and I was getting the sort of, oh no, it was the video I just recently done on online crime, and I'm discussing even sort of what I'm going through and what's really going on with spoofing and stuff like that. I thought spoofing was quite hard, but apparently it's probably not. But again, more to do with sort of technology advances, because I was discussing how IP addresses is the big thing. It's hard to sort of clone them. Apparently, I'm being told by these experts when I'm sort of reaching out to. I pay into a membership service where my identity and everything's monitored constantly, 24 hours a day. So if I see something or I get an alert, I'm going to be getting involved, like I'm on the ball. So I remember discussing. I had these experts explaining to me what spoofing is and cloning and stuff like that, and they said you don't really need to worry about your phone being cloned because it's not to do with your IP address. But I was hearing ghost IP addresses. I'm not sure if that was to do with email addresses or phones or anything, but apparently that's becoming a big problem. So I'm actually going to be reaching out to to the company again that I have monitoring my ID and everything. And just, I want to question, I'll do that tomorrow. I'm going to question more about ghost IP addressing. It could just be something that's happening, and it could be becoming a big problem. Whatever I learn from that, I'll do an update to the video regards to the online crime video, so I can keep you guys and gals up to date and try and keep you safe online, especially with catfishing and people stealing people's content. People, they do. It's horrible, but that's the way it is. People are scam merchants, and that's why I don't have social media anymore, and this is why I limit my digital footprint on the internet. So I'm with you guys. This is me. There's nobody else that works for me or is affiliated with me. That's it. If anybody claims anything different, please report them or report them to me. You can go to my website. There is a chat service, or you can email me. There are ways of contacting me. You can let me know you're coming across this, and I will then go to the FBI and have these people dealt with, right? Because it is online cybercrime and stuff like that. So I'm always going to do everything I can to protect myself as much as I can. And I just want you guys and gals to do the same. So, and I just felt like that was incredibly ironic. So I'm actually, like I say, I'm going to sort of connect that to the last video. I'll do an update video. Now, I don't know what this was about, but the next visual I was seeing a young couple in a car, and I was obviously remote viewing, but they didn't see me. They were sort of looking directly out the front window, obviously, because I feel like they were driving. But there was something about this young woman. She was like late teens to early 20s, long brown hair and brown eyes, and I got a good look of her. And then I was drawn to her T-shirt. She was wearing this white T-shirt, and it said on it, Mu Suar, Mother Uniform. Next word, Sierra Uniform Alpha Romeo, Mu Suar. Now, I've never heard of that. I don't know what that means, but it was big black bold letters, and it was right on a T-shirt. And I visually went straight to it. So there was something to do with those words. When I was trying to look up Suar, at least, the only thing I was coming up with was another word for a pig. So I'm not quite sure what that's about, but I couldn't find anything like moo, and I could not find anything online to do with moo Suar. So if any of you guys and gals are aware of anything like that, but obviously it's documented anyway. But it was just, okay, I'm already tapped into 8D. I've already done my pre-prep and everything, so I'm already, that's interesting. I was just hearing possible gang related, could be, oh, okay. Okay then. Okay, so gang related, let me just start, I've got my paper ready. Musuwa, interesting. I don't know, I still don't know what it means, but like I said, I'm logged in, I'm clocked into 8D right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be, once I get ready and I really start zoning in and trying to get more data and intel, I'm going to put my mask on tonight as well. So I really sort of zone out. Now, the last visual I saw was the weirdest thing. So where my home is, if you walk out my back door, there's like a shed roof. So it's quite low. And then obviously you got the roof. But on that sort of part of the roof, it's quite low anyway. I have a beautiful stray cat that likes to live up there, and that's where his food is. Now, I hear this noise. So I opened my back door and I saw this huge yellow bear that reminded me of an emu. It reminded me of the big yellow bear on Sesame Street, but I immediately heard emu. Oh, good Lord, I can't even pronounce it, an emu. But it obviously, an emu is not yellow. It's not, they're black. And I remember just being startled, like it landed on my lower roof, and I'm like, what the, holy shit, one of those. It kind of like scared me, and it was huge, like 6 foot. These bears are huge. But it was trying to protect its babies, and I'm like, oh my God. But then the next thing, there was cats coming around and trying to attack the babies. So I picked up this huge emu with the babies, brought it into my house and put it into my big room. Will be my small parapsychology office at some point when it's blooming finished construction. But anyway, I put it there to keep it safe, and with the babies with it. And I'm like, I remember putting it down, and it was tall, and the bed was taller than me. I'm like, what the? And it was obviously really heavy, but it was the weirdest thing. And I'm like, okay, so there was a major symbolism going on there. Now, obviously I sort of Googled at least what the appearance of an emu is. And it's also spiritually, it's also to do with sort of strength and, like perseverance. And it's something more to do with as you're sort of moving forward and remaining strong and things like this. I mean, there may be other different meanings to it, but it was a very spiritual meaning. So I just felt weird that came through as the final thing. But then I remember I was trying to understand the cats trying to attack the bear's babies. Obviously that's a normal thing in the animal world, but there felt like there was a protection element going on. And I mean, a lot of animals, totem animals, there's a different spiritual symbolisms for what animals represent. Sometimes there can be guardians that can come to us in, depending on what you believe in, but guardians can come in the form of animals. Like I say, I've got a big black, very beautiful bowl of stray cat. He just lives on my roof, and I feel like he's my little protector. He's great. Keeps my rodents at bay and everything, because we live in the desert. But this was just not, it was almost like it landed on my home, obviously. So it kind of, I was meant to find this thing. It wasn't real. This is the visual I was seeing, but it felt real because I walked out of my house and everything. I'm like, oh, and I just found an emu. So an emu just were trying to protect its babies, and it couldn't stand up. So that's why I picked it up, and that would never happen. But anyway, so like I said, it was struggling to stand up, and I just, it's weird because when I'm feeling like, what was the symbolism in that? What was the message there? And it all just felt like, keep going. Like, do not give up now, because and this is probably for me, but also it could be anybody that is on their spiritual journey right now, and it's really tough and it's hard, and you've come this far and you've got through major obstacles and everything. Do not give up now. If you've come, I feel like a lot of people in the collective are right at that pinnacle peak, that point now of, well, there's no return. You're not ever going to go backwards. You're never going to go low vibrational again. You're never going to go into the matrix system again. If you've sort of escaped it, I mean, we've got to sort of exist within it because we can't do it, but we can learn to live differently. This is coming through. So this is what this is about. Okay, I'm going to take the data coming in before I zone out and zone back in. Okay, so if you feel like you've escaped this matrix system, I hate using that term. But is the reality, unfortunately. If you're coming out of a dark night of the soul and you've come through and made your awakening, and it's so ferocious, like you could be feeling like, I've just lost everything. I've lost everyone. What is up? You know, congratulations, you've had a major spiritual awakening and you were meant to. It is an ego death, the unhealthy ego death that you probably needed. It is ferocious. Each dark night of the soul, every single person goes through is completely different to each other's. I'm constantly going through the dark night of the soul. It doesn't matter how highly ascended you are, or how highly spiritual you are, or how spiritually gifted. I get spiritual gifts all the time because I'm constantly going through dark nights of the souls. I'm constantly having to do the shadow work to make sure that unhealthy ego doesn't creep back in. It can happen. So it's always staying on top of oneself and one's that sort of inner spiritual work. And once you know, you know. Once you escape, you escape. It felt very spiritual strength for a lot of people. Just don't be giving up now, because this year feels so weird anyway, because we were upside down, now we're the right way. This is hard to explain. We were sort of living upside down, like it wasn't, you know, when you're trapped in 3D, you don't know there's another way of living, the new earth, I guess. It's the duality. We've entered into the duality. So a lot of you are really moving forward into the fifth dimension, literally, like nothing's the same. Your thought process is different. Your mind is completely different. Your mind is free. And I feel like that's the fight for a lot of people. Like, okay, well, I'm on a spiritual journey now. Now what? It's freedom. You're questioning it because you're not used to it, but your mind is free. And that's what I mean. You're not going to allow your mind to be trapped again and imprisoned. But the beautiful thing is, this is happening to a lot of people, because that sort of cause and effect karma cycle for the collective, the whole global, is kicked in. It started on Christmas Day, but it really kicked in on 31st of December 23. I felt that vibrational shift in the energy field, which is normal. A lot of people did. But that was almost like, it felt like an earthquake on the ether. So that sort of told me the shift turned everything back the way it should be. So we're no longer upside down. You're going to start seeing things differently. An absolute different perspective. And I can feel my throat chakra already, because I'm talking about, the moment I mentioned the matrix system, I already felt. So do your spiritual cleansings daily. Just keep your energy cleansing. Okay. Can I feel like I'm allowed to talk about some. I'm just going to get clarity on, see if I can mention this. Well, I should be able to, because I just heard the word and I've been toying with this. Okay. Right. This might be why. Let me have it. Cloaking. Okay. One of my recent gifts. I mean, I do a lot of energy cleansings as a minister. I do a lot of energy cleansings, energy releasements. I'm constantly removing negative energy from people all the time. Right? Negative energy sent to people by others, etc. Energy attacks. I'm constantly doing. Oh, wait, here we go. What the? I am constantly cleansing people's energy fields from a distance. It's quantum cleansing. That's all it is. I can do it. I just tap into the quantum sort of field, right? I do a lot of remote viewing. I'm a master remote viewer. I've mastered astral traveling. That's what I do. So I can go anywhere to anyone across any part of the world and do the quantum cleansing. but I don't usually do the healing, distance healing, without that person's permission, unless they're paying for that service, etc., and they requested it. But releasements, I don't need permission to pull anything out of someone's energy field that doesn't belong there. That's what I do as a service to people, but it's part of my ministry service. Now, if you want a full cleansing, a full releasement, that's a you'd have to physically, you'd have to touch base, even remotely too. But cloaking. So this is a gift. This was a spiritual gift I was given recently. This is going to play at my throat chakra. Talking about this, is why I didn't want to talk about it, but it needs to be talked about. So it's going to help a lot of people. When you're protected, when you're highly ascended and you do all the shadow work, you're sort of divinely protected by, and your ancestors are taking care of you and everything. But when you're sort of a light warrior and you have a major job to do on this planet, and I'm one of those that does, I help a lot of people, but I also, how do I say this without sounding egotistical? Because it's nothing to do with ego. It's actually just honesty, but people are going to be like, why does she get that? Why is she that special? People with a high evolving mind don't think like you. It's a low vibrational natural reaction. Like, why you? Well, why not me? Why not people like me? So that's what you need to answer your own question with. If you can, I'm already hearing it, and I haven't even heard it yet, but that's the way it is. So, cloaking is a form of protection. So, because I do a lot of light work, I work with light force. Literally, that is all as Christ light, whatever you want to call it. It is powerful. I mean, I'm cloaked to a very protective level on the ether. So, and a lot of people like me. It's not just me. It's where you're going to have to remove the unhealthy ego. This is it. There is a lot of people like me, right, around the world, a lot. We have a very important job to do for the collective to basically raise the vibrational, help people. We're in service to people. That's it. So, but because when you don't realize how much work you do on the physical realm, what happens is you get gifted on the etheric realm, like you're constantly getting upgraded spiritually. So I feel like this year I've been spiritually upgraded a few times. It's been amazing, but I've had to go through major sort of shadow work and dark nights of the soul and come out of those and understandings to get more gifts. That's just the way it is. We can all get that, but you've got to do the work. A lot of people probably get a lot more stuff than me. That's probably because they've done a hell of a lot more work, or just they're on their journey. That's just the way it is. So when you spiritually advance, you don't get jealous. There's no envy. You don't envy somebody that's got more spiritual gifts. You're happy because that means they put more into the collective. We don't envy at all. We're happy there's a lot more people getting spiritually gifted so they can really get on their journeys. That means they're doing the hard work, the shadow work, and the healing. But when you're healing people constantly and you're doing it without anything in return and you're just in service and you just forget it's who you are and what you do, then when you sort of get a new spiritual gift, it's like, give it a moment. So when you do get another one, it's like, oh my God. So obviously, for the sake, here we go. God, they're not going to like cloaking being talked about. And then we'll talk about the low vibes. We're going to push through. So, because this is going to help people that probably believe. This is going to help people that believe they can't be helped. You can be helped. So, cloaking is for me, it's light force cloaking. What it does is, anybody that comes into my presence anywhere, whenever I'm with people, they always feel a sense of being, they always feel healing. Like, oh my God, your energy is so lovely and it's high vibrational. Well, of course, yeah, I don't hide that, but it's so healing. Yeah, right. Now, I still have all of that, but now I have a protection element that comes with me too. So let's say, for example, someone's in my company and they don't just get that sort of healing, natural healing energy I give so freely, but they also get protection. I like to light force, push it into their energy field. So it's a form of cloaking from lower vibrational energies, negative energies, people, astral spies, that kind of stuff. So remote viewers, they're sort of hidden from those sort of people who will do harm to other people using spell work, etc. That sort of thing. So now I know I got the cloaking ability gift. So I continue with the healing, but rather than just put the healing in, I also put now the protection in too. How can I give an example of this for people? Let's just say, for example, I just want to make sure it's safe to say this. Let's say, for example, you're part of a covenant, right? Let's just give this example. You can't escape it because you've got into it freely, exercising your free will, right? But you don't want to be part of it anymore. But because of how deep you're into it, and you know you can't just walk away, you never feel when you belong to any organization, any cult, any covenant, anything like that, you are not free. Your mind's not free. You're not free, right? That's the reality. You might believe you've got the sense of freedom. You have not. You might have shitloads of money because you're part of all of that and lots of power, but you're not free, and you'll never be free again. You cannot have a free mind when you belong to any sort of organization, anything like that, because you're told how to think and what to worship. It's as simple as that. So the problem is a lot of people over time want to sort of escape that, but they can't because of who and what they belong to. Even when they go to sleep at night, they don't feel like they're always feeling like they're watched. Well, when you belong to when you belong to, let's again go with the covenant sort of thing, you're going to be watched to make sure you're not doing anything you shouldn't be doing against the orders of where and what you belong to, right? So that's it. You're not free because you'll always be constantly watched. Look, when I was younger, I'm going to give a physical example of the third dimensional way I'm talking about, and then you'll understand. In my early 20s, I signed up for MI5 because I knew I had these abilities, and I thought, well, I can implement these. I can really put these into. I always wanted to be a soldier, but for reasons I was either too small, I didn't weigh enough for the regs anyway, which is why I went to the Territorial Army later on. The point is, I always knew I had a big destiny. I knew I had an important job to do in this realm, right? In this lifetime experience. So I naturally thought, well, okay, I need to put this sort of this intelligence I sort of get and what I know and working with energy. So I went straight with MI5. And I remember the day I went to Thames House to sort of sit down and do the exam. I had no military experience or anything at this point. And I was in my 20s, so I was young, right? Didn't know much about the real world at that point, but I knew about energy. So I went and sat down, like I said, I went to Thames House and sat down with and I remember it was the weirdest thing because, like, I'm not going to discuss what the place looks like because that would be a threat and I would not do that. But I just remember looking at all these people in these lines on these desks, and I remember just thinking, wow, I really like the idea of coming here, but I don't belong here. And I just felt all of these eyes from all over the place, right, staring at us all. It was literal body language experts probably watching. I don't really know what was going on, but I just felt eyes on us. And then eyes on me, because everybody put their heads down at the same time like robots, went straight to the exam, and I just looked at her and went, oh God, I don't belong here, one of those. And I just immediately felt this sense of I will live a life of paranoia, and I will never be free if I continue on this path. And I just knew, I got the note immediately, this is not part of your path. It might have felt like it. It might have felt like it was part of my path at that point, but it was not. And I got the instant clarity. So I'm like, oh, I've got to do this exam now. I literally just sabotaged the crap out of that exam. And I remember I was talking to one of the sort of examiners, and they were like, so what's your experience? I'm like, I ain't got any experience, and I ain't got any. And I didn't talk about what I did back then either. I didn't tell them what I do. And they said, well, have you got any military experience? And I'm like, no. And I knew full well I completely sabotaged that exam. I knew there was no passing that. I didn't want to, right? So he was telling me to, go back and get some military experience and all that kind of stuff, and then come back. And then, so obviously since then, I went to London, did the London scene, became a bar manager and stuff like that. Obviously then I joined the TAs later on. Then I went to Iraq. Then I understood how the world worked. I understood the system, understood the machine and everything. And it was just like, oh. And then I remember, weirdly, I think it was like a year after I got back from Iraq, because I was still back and forth, but I remember getting this random email from MI5, like, to re-enlist. I'm like, I don't fucking think so. There's no effing way I'm going to take my worldly knowledge with what I do into a system, to be systemized into a secret agency, that sort of thing, and never be free again. I knew there was no way. So that's not for everybody. I mean, that's for some people. Some people really, that's a great career for some people. It really is. But I just knew it wasn't for me. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, it doesn't really matter what you join on, who you think you want to be or who you want to belong to. When you commit to an organization or anything like that, you don't realize just how much of your mind freedom you're given. Because if your mind's not free, you're not free. Your mind has to be free for you to feel free, literally be free. So I just kind of quickly, I instantly knew then, right there when I had to do the exam, oh God, no, my mind will never be free, and I'll never be able to do what I do. So I knew. But some people, when they get into these organizations and things like this, they don't know that. They just feel like, okay, I feel like I can belong here. I can be part of this sort of, I can be part of a brotherhood. I can be part of a sisterhood. I can be part of this. You're not free, because you have to follow a set of rules within that sort of. So we already have a society full of dysfunctional rules as it is, constant human man-made laws and not laws, rules and stuff like that, right? They're annoying as it is. Now you imagine joining an organization of a sort and then having to follow another set of rules that probably differ from those just, but right? Is a weird paradox going on. I don't like that. So the point I'm trying to make is, as you sort of later down the line, especially if you suddenly have to go through some sort of awakening or an ego death, it's going to change your perception of what you belong to. You're going to look at things differently. You're going to realize, or you may, I'm not saying you will, or you, but some people do, unfortunately. And they realize, this is not for me anymore, but I can't get out of it. I signed that contract. I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this, and this is what I do. And I'm going to make it very clear. All contracts forged and signed in my name here on the physical realm and the ether are null and void. All contracts forged and signed in my name here on the physical realm and the ether, etheric realm are null and void. All contracts forged and signed in my name here on the physical realm and the spiritual realm are null and void. You've got to be very careful what contracts you're signing when you want to belong to an establishment or an organization or something like this. The devil is in the detail. But some people will try and forge your signatures. Now, what do I mean by that? Oh, we got it coming in now. I don't even know if I need to put my mask on, because it's all just coming in. Usually I would just sort of try and zone out, but I don't feel like I need to. So, what do I mean by that? There are people who understand how to manipulate energy. I work with energy. I am a doctor of energy. I work with consciousness, right? Understand what people do with it and how they abuse it and manipulate and do harm with it. So, what happens is they will literally forge a spiritual contract on the spiritual realm with whom they worship, right? This is why I don't do anything in any shape or form with spell work and shit like that. Whether it's white, green, black, that I do not give flying flip-flop. I am not part of any of that crap. This is why. Oh dear. So this is why I don't do any of that, and I don't get involved in it. I don't associate with people that are into it. When I find out people are involved in little bit of Wicca and stuff like that, I'm away from them. I will not be associated with that sort of stuff. I do the cleansing. I do the cleanup from that crap. So, but that's what some of these people do. They will literally forge spiritual contracts in your name. I've heard of, I'm very aware of people conjuring up deities, creating these weird spiritual contracts with a deity, like a spirit spouse and stuff like that. That is so off the charts, but people do this to other people unbeknown to them. So I would say, make it part of your cleansing, your cleansing sort of little ritual you do, just for your cleansing of your energy field. You'd have to do any sort of spell work just to protect your own energy field, right? Just make sure you add all contracts forged and signed in your name on the physical realm and the spiritual realm are null and void. You make it clear, right? And you say it out loud, because you'd be amazed at what people, and if they're going to do that in the spirit, and these sort of people, if they're going to do that in the spirit realm, do you imagine what they're going to do in the physical realm? A lot of fraud goes on. You're going to be careful what you're signing when you get paperwork and stuff like that. Oh God, I'm feeling the irony coming through now. Okay. I'm going to this is for my guys. This is for them. Okay. That's interesting. Right. Now, so again, let's just go back to those sort of contracts. When you commit to something or to a group or anything like that, you've got to really know what you're sort of at the beginning, what you're getting into. But some people, like I say, over time want to leave them, but because of the sort of contract they're signed into, it can be really hard for them if they can get out of it at all. So what happens is there is a lot of people like me, not just me. We get sort of the ability to cloak people. So we use a lot of energy. It's an energy session. It's like, for me, to do a releasement. Let's say, for example, on one of my clients, I was doing a drug addiction, sort of an alcohol addiction on this person. I would go to the source and I would remove that addiction, because everything's energy. And that person no longer drinks alcohol, because when you do what I do, and you know what you can produce, but that doesn't mean you're not going to replace one addiction with another. So you've got to control you've got to work on your addictions. That's just an energy. It's a healing process, but it's a releasement. You've got to remove the addiction, remove the sort of energy, the negative energy that's in those sort of areas that's making you function towards these sort of things. It's the same principle. So what happens is, let's say, for example, if I was to do a releasement session on somebody, it can take a few hours, but I'm now have the ability to cloak someone. So let's say I remove all the negative energy from that person's energy field, all of the little monitoring spirits that are monitoring them, right? I can now put the protection cloak around them, so nothing can find them. It's not, you'd still have to, how do I say it? It's not like, I mean, you would have to still find a way to physically leave what you want to leave, and you may have to sort of use legal ways to do it, but spiritually, on the etheric realm, you'd have to be worried about being stalked, I guess. Stalked etherially, astrally spied on, right? So you'd never have to worry about that again. So you could pretty much go about your private business without feeling like you're constantly being watched. That's what happens when you connect yourself to people that are involved in this sort of stuff. This is nothing new. What I'm discussing is centuries old. These are practices that are very old, and these go down to bloodline generations that get retaught this in the next generation, and it's part of their bloodline, right? So my bloodline, like I discussed in one, is very old. My bloodline is very old, and there's so much of it. A lot of them were pretty bad, right? Probably belonged to some organizations back in the day. I don't really connect with those. I don't need to. The ancestors I trust, and I'm doing the sort of all that shadow work I do is for them to clean up their sort of ancestral karma, debt and stuff like that. But that's just by being in service to people. That's by constantly living differently, doing things better, clearing my karma. It's all to do with cause and effect. Everything that we do comes back to us. So I'm just looking at the figure, right? So, so the cloaking is a way to be free on the spirit realm. There is now, the way I would practice this now, well, I would just make it part of my practices. You do the cleansing, you release all the negative stuff. It takes a lot of energy though, but that's okay. It just means you've got to be careful when I'm probably going to speak to those that are now to clerk and are able to clerk people. Feel like this message for them. You've got to be careful. You've got to be careful who you're touching. But I wouldn't be too concerned about that either, because if you're divinely protected, nothing's going to stick. So get rid of that crap. I just want to make sure. So for me, so now I know I can make this part of my practice now. But because the initial session is a few hours, my services are free. My time is not. That's the difference. My time is not free. My energy is very sacred and important, and it is. So obviously my client base is very small and intricate, but my time is not free, and I do many things. But the cloaking, you may never be able to escape what you've sort of contracted into, but that does not mean I would be highly recommending you do a cloaking reboost once a month. It's not going to take as long as the first session or anything like that. It's just to sort of strengthen it, like give it a boom, just make sure it's still up and running. Right? Because you don't know what people are constantly sending to you, and you'll find, and it's great because the cloaking stops energy attacks. Like if you're constantly under headaches and you're dealing with the sort of energy attacks coming in from energy manipulators and things like this, you're not going to deal with any of that. They'll try and send it, but you're not going to feel it. It's not going to get in because you're closed, right? So, and that's going to make those people go, oh, why is blah 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 why are we not seeing what's going on here? Why we're not? That's going to cause a lot of fuss. But your free will, just because you're part of something, does not mean you can't. On the spirit realm, you can exercise your free will to cloak yourself, but you're not going to get told that. Oh, I feel like that's going to cause a kick up a fuss somewhere. But it's okay because, again, there's the orders. There are orders. You might need to go back to your little contracts and just sort of look at the small print, but there's the orders of what you belong to, but there's a divine order. So, and, these sort of the elders and the higher uppers and stuff like that, they understand you've got to be careful sort of who you're messing with because it can affect their whole bloodlines. And I mean, literally, it can affect their whole bloodlines. So that's why they had to be very careful about follow the orders. I mean, we can do all our perverted crap and stuff like that, whatever we do. But, okay, they shouldn't be doing that, but they do, but whatever. Can't tell people out why. Their sexual perversions are their problem. It's their business, none of mine. What I'm saying is, they can do all of that crap that they think they can do, but they also know the cause and effect is in place the moment they actionalize anything anyway. They also know that. But the divine order is, it doesn't matter how much the light ones hiss you off, still can't touch them. Because you know the moment you do, it affects your bloodline, your literal familial bloodline. So sometimes it's nice to give that little refresher, just make sure, especially right now in this sort of like 2024 karmatic season, you don't want to be messing around with you don't want to be going against any order right now, your own orders, let alone the divine order. No. But exercise your free will to do so if you want to, but you will not like the outcome. And as you know, what comes back in threes. So think about that and think about your loved ones before you start messing around and going against the divine order and allowing your arrogance to take over. So cloaking is, I'm not really surprised by that, because I feel like, because the future's becoming very different anyway, a lot of people are already starting to sort of escape from the constraints of sort of what they belong to. And because I don't belong to a sort of order of any kind or anything like that, I don't know how hard it is to sort of escape that. I remember as a kid, I did sort of escape a cult, like a religious little cult, but it wasn't I'm an adult now. I would never ever enter into anything. I'm not a follower. So, but I do remember it. I do remember the sort of intoxication of wanting to be in that sort of cult, and I was only a kid. But because I was so taken care of, so I thought I wasn't, I'd been fucking groomed. Right? But you don't realise that when you're a kid. So, but there's a false sense of security and fake love that is sort of put into manipulating your mind to make you feel like you belong there. Interestingly enough, that was happening. And then on my 13th birthday, this Pentecostal religious group wanted to baptize me. And I knew then, the night before I was going to be baptized, I was watching somebody get baptized and ducked and all that kind of stuff. And I just remember thinking, I don't belong here. I'm not doing that. So I was always guided to get the hell away from certain cults and things like this. But it took me a while, but I did. And this is why when it comes to sort of religious dogmas and certain religious sort of cults, and I'm very suspicious of certain types of religions, unfortunately, only because I've had to sort of deal with it. But I don't like the contradictions. I'm open to all denominations, obviously, but I'm a spiritual minister. I practice a lot of healings, spiritual healings and things like this. But I have a lot of other different abilities and gifts that I sort of implement into my sort of practices too, my healing practices, and part of that is all of this sort of stuff too. I'm what you would call people like me messengers, but mine is for the higher dimensions and supreme divine. But what is the supreme divine? Who is the supreme divine? Is it God Almighty? It depends on what you believe in. It's everything. It's the high of all, right? Because we're also the divine within us, but to me there is a higher order, obviously, because I'm very aware and connected to it. But then because I go to higher dimensions and I'm constantly working different sources on those higher dimensions, different energies, I know there is still an order on each sort of dimension too, that there's certain things they've got to follow. That's strange too, but yeah, because free will is everything. You cannot infringe on people's free will, and if you do, you pay the price for that. You can freely give away you can freely exercise your free will to have it suppressed if you want to, right? You can allow people to suppress your free will, and you're not doing that. A lot of people do that just in relationships every day, but you still have a right to free will. Under natural law, you have to practice free will. You can't infringe on anybody's. It doesn't matter whether you like them or you don't like what they do or you don't like who they are, you don't like what they say. So what? Don't talk to them then. Ignore them. Go away, right? You don't have to, but if you're interacting and you want to and you're triggered by sort of people, the moment you're triggered and you start aggressively fighting and you're infringing on their free will to be them, or because they don't believe in what you believe in and they're not interested and they're not into your ideologies or your mind-controlled conditions from your silly little universities that are indoctrinating your minds and completely imprisoning them and making you fear even speaking in universities and colleges today. You're afraid to speak because it might offend. You've been indoctrinated. You are literally brainwashed and mind-controlled. So, and you're pretty much trained to attack and be offended. That is not going to help you and save you in the real world at all. So enjoy your 4-year indoctrination, because that is going to mess you up in the future. What you've been told you can do is not going to wash in the real world, and you will deal with your cause and effect karma. So what you enforce, I don't like systems. I really don't. Don't like any system. But the one we're trapped in right now, it's, well, I mean, I mentioned this in another video, but it is slowly, it's decimating from within though. It's a slow process because it's this system, this magnificent system, I call it. It's not a compliment, it's just, call it magnificent because it was formed and created so long ago, thousands of years old. And it's just so prevalent still in the 21st century. And obviously because technology could really keep people enslaved. I mean, technology, AI has enslaved a lot of us. That AI, it's, the new generations aren't going to understand just how dangerous AI is for their future at all. It's a danger for the human race. If we don't control it, we can't have that coming out of control, because we're already seeing problems with it right now. But a lot of, okay, I've just heard a lot of what we see isn't what we see. It's not real. It's dysfunctionally scary that a lot of what we're surrounded by, even people, it's like they're not even real. Like, not all of them, I'm just saying. Like, who's the real ones and who's the AI? I feel like, I constantly feel like we're living in a fishbowl. I remember my father once said to me when I was, he said, how do we know we're not a little ball, blue ball earth, is we're not in a fishbowl, like, and we've got people like bouncing as like balls, and there's different sort of analogy he was trying to explain, but I remember thinking, oh God, that was deep. And I think I was only like 9 years old, and I remember intently going, well, what if we are controlled like that? I mean, what if we, maybe that's my fascination back then at 9, to delve into probably higher dimensions to figure out what's going on. Is my dad, because my dad was a smart man. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason I don't like computer games, and I used to back in the day before I sort of woke up, but it's almost like people get so seduced by this different sort of computerized reality even like right down to computer games, and that's the reality their minds are actually trapped in. But they think that reality that's been created is real. It's not even remotely real. So then when you think about when you go into the real world and you're like, well, what is real? What's not anymore? It's really hard to but not, I can say for sure, not everything you believe is it. There is a hell of a lot more beyond the here and now, a hell of a lot more. And I'm not here to infringe on your belief systems or anything like that. But if you truly believe humans get up, go to the toilet, take a shower, make coffee, eat breakfast, enslave themselves to workforce for the majority of your life, for next to nothing. Come home, take another shower, might have time to have dinner, if you might have time to see your family. You go to bed, you do it all again. That to me is like a horrible hamster wheel. That is the definition of systemized enslavement. Nobody, no human on this planet should ever be living like that. At all. We should all, this planet belongs to us all. We should all have a right to pieces of land and everything, right? But apparently the land's stolen or bought. We can't have access to it. But who gave these people that fucking right to steal land that doesn't even belong to them and then give it to their peoples with big money so we can't even get access to it? If you don't understand what type of slave you are and what you're enslaved into the system, your bloodlines, your future bloodlines are going to continue to repeat the same hamster wheel you're living. This planet and world belongs to us all, not just a small percentage of people. When you start understanding that and you wake up, we can take that power away from them by stopping what we're doing. Because the moment we all stop what we're doing and we all stop, well, how about we all don't go to work for a week, every single person on the planet? It's okay for them to lock us down when it suits them. What if we were to lock ourselves down? I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying if you were to think about how much power, I mean, look at how powerful that was though in 2020. Ran out of money to give to people because nobody was earning the money to pay taxes, to pay. So, you've got to understand how this system works, and I don't know how people can. It's a hard process for people to understand. I get it. I get why people are so afraid to sort of step outside the box a little bit, even look outside the box, think outside the box. When your mind's free and you come away from that and you look down from a different visual perspective on the whole world and how it is and what some people are allowed to get away with and what some people are not allowed to get away with, you'll see the unfair imbalance in every area of life, right? In every single area of life. You're going to see the absolute contradictions of what some can do and the rest of us can't. That is what you've got to stop. You've got to take power back from that. It's a process. It's really sad. It's a sad process, but a lot of what we see isn't what we see. I feel like I understand that. They say when you understand the system, there are people within that system always, if you see something, say something. And I advocate that too, especially because I don't like crimes against humanity and I don't like people being hurt by people. But that can be dangerous because there's certain types of organizations that want you to talk. They want that knowledge for a reason, and it's not a good. It's for sinister reasons. It's so, and that's, I can't explain that. It's hard to. I know, I understand, but I can't explain it. It's like they want you to talk, but they don't want you talking when it comes to maybe if you see something that they're involved in. They don't want you talking about that. But anything, you've got to remember, anything to do with breaking the law or anything like that, it's how they make money. It's all about money. It is all about money, power, and control, right? That is all this matrix, this weird little world we live in, created by men and women back in the day, right? But what I'm saying is, it's all about money. Medical healthcare, it's all about money. Mental health is all about money. Every single area of life is a money maker. They need crime to make money. Lawyers can't make money if no one's breaking the law. Judges can't make money if no one's coming before them. So, and that's just but it's, no, the system was not designed like that. They have to have crime. I always think to myself when I'm working on cold cases, I think, how are these cold cases not? Why? It is crazy how so many cold cases, so many. And I have so many questions because of that. But I'm never going to get the answers to that. I mean, I probably get the answers, some clarity, or I probably already know deep down, but I'm not going to share that because I can't prove it. And that would just be, it would sound like a conspiracy theory, and I'm not going to go there. I prefer to go there when I've got substance and proof or something like that. But let's see if there's anything else coming in. There's the collective, there's a catalyst. There's going to be I think there's going to be more individual catalysts though, but I feel like they're going to hit people, so many people, but at the same time, and I don't know how to explain that. Let me just visualize it. Let me see what's going on here. That's when my mask helps. Mm-hmm. Okay. Still don't know how I can. Oh, nobody's immune from this though. It feels like a divine intervention. Okay. It went. Oof. Oh, it's feeling heavy. What is that? I feel like I'm looking down. I'm looking down. So, interesting. I feel like there's a divine intervention going to take place. Oh, God. Are we just, is this the reckoning? Okay. Ooh, okay. I'm connected to some elders right now. Elders, like higher up elders. And I've connected to these men before. And they were worried about the same thing. Like I was sent to them. And it was during one of their it was during one of their rituals. But the ritual had completed and it was after, and it was these elders. I remember how cold it felt in the like marble floor and everything, but it was cold as really cold feeling. But I remember this wasn't so long ago either. That's interesting. I'm going back here. Oh God, they knew they were waiting for a reckoning. Like they were the only thing they are worried about is the coming reckoning. Why is that? And I feel like they want to triculate the information down to everyone else. But it's too risky. It's too risky. They won't. I don't need to explain why. But they're trying to figure out a way around it. Like they can't get access to not only what sort of reckoning's coming, but when. But they are very worried. Like, feel like it's affecting some of their health too, because it's inevitable. And why am I hearing? Why am I going back to bloodline? Oh, they're worried about. Oh, okay, that's some confirmation. Oh, they're worried about. So worried about their bloodlines. What have they been? What have they been doing? Oh, it may. Okay, why am I getting cloaking? Why are they worried about the reckoning? Why are they worried about their bloodlines? Why are we discussing forged contracts? Oh my God, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? Oh, divine intent. And I just feel, and you know what it is? I'm looking at this. I thought it was just, I don't know what, I'm just seeing this black box, but I'm looking it down. I just thought it was like connected, like everybody's connected, but now I'm seeing it from a different visual point of view. Like there is a black box. I can see it, but I'm like, woof, zoning into it from a high perspective. And I mean, I'm assuming it's a black box. It could be something else. It could be. It looks dark. But I keep feeling like I have to go in, like I'm trying to zone into it, but I'm doing it from like when I'm astral traveling, I would literally go into. If I was hovering over a forest, I would zone in. It feels like that, but there's a real weird heavy pull. Ooh, like I was like, oh, feeling really heavy. This is worrisome. This is worrying these particular elders. I don't know what sort of who they belong to or what they're connected with, but there's a lot of them, but they're like the upper echelon, the upper elders. They're worried about the reckoning coming. They're not even getting that clarity. They're asking for it. They're asking for who they sort of connect with, but they're not getting any of that information, that data at all. You're not going to. And you're not going to get cloaked either. Maybe that's why the cloaking was coming in, because they can't hide. Something going on with bloodlines. It's been feeling that for weeks. So this is actually I've been feeling that for months. This is nothing new. I'm getting this a lot. There is this. Oh God, really? Okay, I'm just. That's some heavy energy. They are completely blocked. They have been completely blocked by the divine, by a higher divine. Okay. Do you know what it's feeling like? They're relying on everybody else for information and data because the upper elders, they've all been completely blocked here on the third eye, on the crown chakra. That's all blocked. And their whole bloodline's been affected by the same thing. They've all been blocked. So this is what's affecting their bloodlines. Their bloodlines, future bloodlines, are not going to have access to what they've been able to get access to for so long. I feel that might be your reckoning. So, I mean, let me zone in and see if there's anything you can do about that. I mean, I can't. Oh God, it's really heavy. Damn. I can just see. I mean, I remember even when I was sent to these elders. I mean, the interesting thing is, I'm going to say this because they actually felt my presence. Like they knew they weren't being remotely spied on or anything like that. Because that's not what I do. I get sent, but it felt like they're not used to seeing light in any shape or form, and it's hard to know if the whole pull as to why I was sent there was because they may have been secretly amongst the trying to get, we need help. They may have been asking for help because they can't get it from where they normally get it. And that's usually why someone like me will be sent to people like that. And they knew as well. They could feel like the energy. They could feel the energy in the sort of like cold room. God, you need to you need to do the right. Then I'm speaking to them now. You need to do the right thing. I know you're not used to doing the right thing, and that's not part of your things, but I even told you what to do. I don't need to say it here because I already told them what they needed to do. This is the confirmation you're waiting. Those men, elders, and I already told them, you know what to do. I already gave them the advice. Because I'm happy to help anybody as long as you do the right thing. And now I just feel like I'm having to reconfirm, you know, this could be just confirmation for them. Like, were we imagining that little messenger? No. Look, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be honest here, and I'm just going to be straight up because I'm not interested in BS. It doesn't matter what you do, what you believe in, who you're worshipping. Again, that's you exercising your free will. You can do what you want. You can pray to who you want. It's a beautiful thing about freedom of beliefs and everything, and the right to worship who you want to. But you are always going to, you are not safe from the laws of karma and the laws of the universe. You cannot take what you've taken without giving it back. You're going to have to give it back. If you're all worried now about somehow doing the right thing, there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. There's never a wrong time. But that feels like a gateway. Like, I'm feeling like, because it's a real weird magnetic, energetic pull. It's to them. I get it. So, but you're feeling that pull, that energetic pull you're feeling within your higher echelon group and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to call you elders. You might have a different label for what you call yourselves, but I might not agree with what you do, but I'm going to be as respectful as I can. You are feeling what you're feeling is the energetic pull to 2D, 1D, to the lower dimensions. That is what you're feeling. And the more you're feeling it, I'm tapped into at least one of his energy right now. Real fearful. But the more you're feeling that, it's like like there's me, because I'm high vibrational and I function from the higher dimensions, zoning into this energy. It feels like I'm being dragged down, like it feels heavy. Like, well, I can't even focus because I just feel like I'm being magnetically, like the magnetic, it feels like I'm being pulled. like my soul, my physical vehicle, meat suit, feels like it's, but I know it's not me because it's not my energy. I know I'm not getting pulled to a lower dimension. But you've opened a gateway. Oh. That's interesting. Confirmation right there. There's a connection. That person's connected to 33rd Mason. This person's not, but connections to it. It's interesting clarity right there. Look, I'm trying to be, I don't know what you can do, but because I'm not there. When it comes to the end or anything like that, you're going where you know you're going, but I feel like the urgency you're feeling and what's going to happen, it's affecting your bloodlines because your bloodlines have lost the power. Like whatever you was able to get, it was taken away from you all. Because there was too much pushback. You did too much. In the nicest possible way. You did too much. You cannot create the orders and then go against the orders. And then, oh wow, this is all making sense. I'm getting the clarity now of months and months of this crap. So you cannot go against it. You can't create the orders and go against them, but you can't go against the divine order. So you're worried about your bloodlines. You might just want to start feeling grateful you've still got a bloodline at this point and not worry so much about the power and control that they're going to have once you're gone. So, but you're feeling the pull. And you're really just going into sort of, you're going into this sort of distraction. Distraction. You're going into this gateway, this is your energy is being pulled into the very gateway that you're sort of all opened. I don't know what you can do to fix that, but that is to the lower dimensions, that's all. I would probably, I don't know, take the advice I gave you. You might need to start doing the right thing. I know you're not going to do the right thing. I'm talking about the right thing. You took too much. It's time to give it back. If that's the least, that's the literal least you can do at this point. I've got to get out this energy. It's too heavy. I think I've pretty much delivered that message. That was weird. God, that came in heavy as well. Good Lord, is there anything else before I pull out of this? I've got to get away from that though. That's the reckoning you're worried about. It's already there. It's not coming. You're already dealing with it. So you've got time to do at least one thing right out of all of it. What you've taken, you've got to give it back. So very strange. Any contracts I'm just going to say this right now to you elders, right? While I'm still connected to your energies, or the energy. If you forged contracts on the spiritual realm, you want to start fixing those immediately, because that kickback will definitely affect your bloodlines. I don't know I don't know what advice to give you there, apart from I don't know how you're going to even null and void them, because you've already put them out there and you can't take that back. Careful what you're doing. I guess that's the advice to anyone and everyone these days. If you're getting involved in this kind of stuff, you can't know what you're getting involved in, know what you're doing, know the I said this before, understand and know the implications and the kickbacks that you will have to just, if you follow the laws of the universe and you follow the laws of karma, you can't go wrong. But if you go against the laws of the universe and the laws of karma, if you don't respect any yourselves or anything, you're not going to respect any of that. But if you're going to go against that, you reap what you sow. That's it. You might need to go back to this gateway. There's something to do with this gateway you opened. I don't know where that is, but I feel like I'm looking down at it. Go back there, you and your elders. You need to go there for your clarity. Whether you get that clarity, I don't know. But that's all I can help you with, I'm afraid. Because I'm not involved in any of this sort of stuff. And I don't belong to anything like that. But that's about as much as I can give you, unfortunately. The divine intervention is for the collective. That's already happening. You're not going to be able to go against any of that. You're not going to be able to do any of that. It's probably why you're feeling the pull, right? Because the moment the divine, that started, that major shift happened on the 31st of December. So, and that was a major shift in the energy field. I could feel it. Everybody, if you're high functioning and high vibrational and stuff, you would have felt it. Felt like an earthquake on the ether. So something major shifted. It felt like the intervention. So, that's it. But for the collective, I said this in my other video, whatever you were doing to another in 2023, expect your kickback and your karma in 2024, and hope to God you learn a lesson from it. Learn from it. Because all you're going to do is repeat cycles of that. Anything amazing you've been doing, or you've been in service to others, or you've done any good karma you've been putting out there, that's coming back to you guys and gals. So enjoy that. I want to leave it on, I want to get out of this energy, but it's never too late to do the right thing, ever. And that's to every single person. That's to everybody in any walk of life. It's never too late to do the right thing. But what you do to another will be done to you. Simple as that. What time I am closing this out on? 9:02. Okay. I'm going to say this before I leave. I do close a lot of gateways, and right, I can do that remotely and everything. But that, whatever this one was, that was incredibly powerfully intense. A lot of human energy would have had to have gone into that to open it in the first place. a lot of physical human energy. I'm not talking like a little covenant gang of like 8 people, right? I'm talking like a lot of people, like a mass gathering, and a major ritual would have had to have opened that, because that energy is incredibly dense and very powerfully. I could feel it, and I felt like I was going into it. That's crazy. That is, nope, not for me. So, but like I say, I'll just say it one more time. Whatever you need to know, your major concern, you might need to go here to get the answer. I hope I helped in some way. I mean, I'm happy to help anybody if they can figure out a way to do the right thing. But other than that, I'm going to end it there. Take care. Take care of yourselves. Just be kind. Kindness is free. It don't cost anything. And enjoy 2024. It's going to be amazing. See you all soon.